clapping it up
for the rebirth of life and love.
The rebirth of life and love. We're clapping it up for season 1. We're clapping it up for a year of growth. Mm-hmm. We are clapping it up. What else are we celebrating / clapping up?
The end of a year, the birth of a new year, the rebirth of a new year, I should say.
And the rebirth of relationships and relationship goals and all the things that have to do with being happy in relationships, because it's summer. You know what summer means.
Wait, it's what?
Or excuse me, it's on the way to it's almost
summer.
Spring. I'm tripping.
It's spring.
I'm
y'all.
clearly in the future for y'all. You just don't realize it.
I see that. But we've been off for a minute because life got hectic and we had some things planned. We had some travel going on. We're just trying to adjust to a new year. I don't know how it is for you. You know how they're like, oh, you have your New Year's resolution, and it takes a minute. Either those who have that first month, they go all out, and then by February, they're no longer on track. Or you need January just to settle into the year. And that's what we needed. And
February.
Huh?
And February.
And
March.
There's some things that happened that made us want to give you an update on what's been going on in our lives, but also talk about depression within a relationship. Because January or 2024 started off really rough for us. And we both had our own bouts of like depression and just struggling with life. And I think it's really helpful to have some authentic conversations and to bring you guys into our life, but also to share like how we're dealing with it and just to be a platform where others, in a safe space where others can come in and talk about it as well.
But let's also remind you that we ended 2023 with similar feelings. And I think that, everyone says the new year, new me, like I always said on the pod, but like there's a lot of, I guess you could say baggage that like, seems to follow you from year to year, from month to month, until you actually like address it. And there's like a few different ways to do that. You can literally, like Felicia said, go to the gym 100 times and try to break that trend. Or you can do like small things often to continue to turn the habit, to turn what was either a habit or what was something you believed in or something that you made you react or whatever, to the flip side. And so before we get there, we didn't fully intro this. I'm Big Rome.
I'm Felicia.
You're Felicia. And again, this is season 2. We're not going to go with season. Let's just say we are back for the Rebirth of Life and Love podcast, here to give you some relationship advice, some marriage advice, joke with us, laugh with us, all the things. Take what you need from it. But just know that this season or this year,
you can say season.
I don't like season because seasons end, and this is something that's not going to end.
Okay.
It's just going to keep going.
It's continue to grow. Okay.
So I can say this season of life, I'm coming back into more of a positive headspace. So the jokes are gonna be joking all year. So I'm throwing them at you. And what's funny? I actually don't give a damn if you laugh or not, because if I think it's funny, that's the only thing that matters. Because I'm trying to practice joy this year. What are you trying to practice?
I felt it. I felt the joy that you've been trying to practice. And what am I trying to practice? That is a good question.
While she's thinking, y'all put in the comments, what are you trying to practice for this year? It could be, and I would say, like, what are you trying to practice from an emotional standpoint?
I guess more self-awareness, more self-love. As always, I feel like I'm always running a mile per minute. And sometimes I need to slow down.
Dang, you fast.
I mean, we'll get there, but I'm Hall of Fame fast.
Hey.
Self-love, I'll practice it right now. I got inducted into my high school Hall of Fame. And it's the first time I've ever done it. And so they're inducted like 40 people because the school has been around since like 1965. And I'm part of the first class. And I'm honored to be a part of it. And if you know my background, like, Track was something I started in high school. I had one race in like the 5th grade and I just dominated. And my dad had been trying to get me to go out for the track team for years. I said, nope, nope, nope. Ran away from my blessing that opened a lot of doors. And sometimes I think this is also the theme of my life. A lot of people see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And my dad had a way of looking at me and knowing that this was going to be the pathway to other things in life. And I hope that we can do that with our children. But
Right.
I finally listened and I went out for the track team, y'all. And I mean, the rest is history. Like, I had a phenomenal high school career that got me a scholarship at the University of Washington.
Go.
Yes, that made me All-American in the hurdles. I'm number 2 on the 100-meter hurdle list for women at my school. I went on to run professionally for Brooks. Like, it goes on, but also it allowed me to have such a balanced like life as far as academics and be able to be admitted into UW. Like, it's enrolled, it's hard. And then to have like the skills that I've learned, the grit, all of the things that make me the best parent and a better spouse, I feel like. But that's just, I mean, I've been a Hall of Fame. I'm inducted to the Hall of Fame, and we're going to jump over to you because now you're an all-star what? I teed you up. You're an all-star what?
Okay, so we're going, all right.
We'll jump back and forth.
Life update, fine. Okay, so.
We're going to start with the joy, and then we'll go into the
right, we got to get to the joy, but let me just, this is part of it. It's the gratitude, it's the understanding that like, that you are somebody, you are valued, you are everything you wish you would have received, if that makes sense.
That's for you. Yeah.
That's for me.
Okay.
And so I, about a week ago, the Seattle Mariners reached out, big baseball fan. Hold on, let me air horn myself.
Air horn yourself, baby. You sound like joy.
Okay, big baseball fan. And so they're one of the first professional teams. They were the first professional team I saw play live in the Kingdome and King Griffey Jr. But they reached out, and on Father's Day, they are going to be honoring some dads. Basically, they're honoring people in the community that have done great work in the community. And they asked if I could go to the game and they could honor me Father's Day. And, you know, obviously if that didn't work because it is Father's Day, like another time would work. But I'm like, I'm in there. The funny part is, like, at first when I was reading the email, I thought that they were asking me to throw out the first pitch because I was ready. I was like, mentally, I was like, all right. I was already thinking about the content that's going to be in but it's none of that. But they're just honoring, you know, again, me for my advocacy work.
Which you've been tapping into.
I wish I've been tapping into, which I've done a lot behind the scenes, y'all. I think that's what's like helped some of it because, you know, it's like you see some of what you helped with and you've done like actually come to fruition. I know that's super vague, but to explain it, there's a bill and I've been saying it backwards the whole time. I think it's 1916, not 1619. But there was a bill that basically was relating funding for early learning services, which Cali received. And so with this bill, I testified as a parent to Washington state legislators. I went to the governor's mansion a few months ago, also shared my testimony there. I posted about it on social media. I was interviewed. I did an op-ed for the Seattle Times, and I was interviewed for some other local newspapers. And really just trying to drive awareness not only around, you know, the bill and the lack of, or the bill and then support of the funding, but like from a personal parenting standpoint, what we've seen these services do, knowing that a lot of families, medical families, don't know about these services, can't receive these services, and we just know how much it's helped Cali. So I've been, you know, kind of behind the scenes on a little tour trying to share that message, and that work has been, I was on TV too. On our local news station. They interviewed me just, you know, being a girl dad and being a community advocate. I'm pretty sure that's where the Mariner stuff came from because again, like I don't know, like they didn't tell me like how, because I obviously
I'm sure
don't talk
someone
about this
nominated
stuff.
you too.
But
Like you're out there.
yeah, I'm out there, even though I'm in the house and I'm trying to, get out of the house. I'm trying to get out of that so introverted, so isolated, persona, and live this a little more, especially like if this is truly my purpose, which I think it is.
Yes.
I need to step in it and stop, running from it like you were with
Yeah.
yours.
Do you see the theme here? Step into your purpose. Don't run from your blessings.
Yeah.
It's happened so many times in our lives. And I know right now we are starting with the joy because I feel like we need to, because it's been tough. And so we're bringing you the joy. But also, I feel like you've just touched on a handful of things that have been really positive things that have happened in the last 3 months that sometimes you forget of the impact you've made because they've been so small and here and there, but they've all added up to have your name be out there as someone who's making change. And we're in a big city. We're in Seattle. Like it's hard to make change when you're not a public figure, and now you are.
That's nasty. I am not. I'm a public figure.
You're a public figure.
I am. I'm a public figure, but like the reason why I don't like being a public figure, so to speak, is because like I want to be immature and joke, and like there's some
it's time for
there's
you
some stuff that I can't say now because of that. But with that being said, I'm trying to get out of this mood, and I think the prophet Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, said it the best way. He said, "Joy wouldn't be so good if it wasn't for pain."
Ooh.
And that joy, like now that I'm kind of like mostly out of the pain, I'm just like, man, like there are a lot of things that I could have done on my end to like, feel better. But again, you just get so caught in your head, caught in the isolation. And, a lot of this stuff helped me see that. And the last thing I'll say is when the Mariners reached out to me, it was one of those moments where it actually made me really emotional because I think, I've always struggled with feeling seen and being seen and feeling like my self-worth is high. Like I've always felt a lack of self-worth and inadequacy. And that was like that stamp of God being like, hey, like you were not only like doing something, but you're changing things for other people.
Yes.
And like that was like, oh my gosh, like this. I was like, me.
I'm glad because I know we always talk about this that for you, I might say you're amazing, you're doing great work, and it won't resonate or hit the way if someone else did because you feel like I'm obligated to say that as
you
your
are.
spouse,
You're
as your
low
partner.
key. You're supposed to say
You're
that.
supposed to build me up, and so it's like for me, I'm like, why does my word and what I have to say not mean as much as others? And I'm starting to see it more, but I'm so glad someone at that level, like God said, I need someone at a level where the reputation and what you respect, also like how it aligns with you as a child, it's going to hit home on another level. And I need them to speak your purpose into you. And so I'm so glad that the Mariners and Seahawks, either one of them, those are like top for you that allowed you to feel like I'm seen, I'm valued, because your value is so much more than like our children. And we'll see that as they get older of what you've been able to, do for them. But now the world is seeing. And so, yes, we're talking about the joy that we found, but let's start with the top of the year and talk about the hardships that we've endured.
The darkness.
Okay? The darkness. We talked about the light, and we'll talk more about the light, but let's get into the darkness. So, like, leave in the comments, y'all. Like, have you ever gone through a really hard time within yourself in a relationship and your spouse has been okay? We've gone through it where we both have been through some tough times. And I feel like this is the second time that's happened. We've both been like a really low point and a funk and haven't been able to shake it. And it's like neither one of us can shake it for the other because I'm like, I'm dealing with my stuff. You're dealing with your own emotions. And should I start with the house?
Yeah, that's fine. Start.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I just want to preface by saying I feel like I can equally say this. One of both of our biggest kind of like pet peeves is wasting our time. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say.
Is it like if either of us, our time is so limited just with caregiving and like Felicia's work and me with the kids and then Felicia with the kids that like hours are precious.
Yes.
And like I already complain that I don't get enough like hours like solo. But like when you waste my time, it turns me to a whole other person.
You're not gonna get my time back again. Like I'm gonna be done with you.
That because again, that's
Then you waste our time.
That's the number one. That's the number one value, and so I wanted to say that because I think it's important context for the story.
Yeah, it is. And like we're at a point in our family where we're outgrowing our home. Okay, so we have a 3-bedroom home, beautiful home, but it was a starter home for us, and we always talked about wanting to get a new home and have more space. So then you add the pandemic happens and we're working from home. So when Rome was working, he was at his desk. I was in the office, and then we have a second child. And then we also have my parents that come up from California and they stay for sometimes 6 weeks. Okay. So they need their room. So Roman is born, and during maternity leave, we have his crib in our room, and my parents are staying in the bonus room. And then we have a desk in the hallway, which our nurses are at. So we have a nurse in the day, at night. Like you're starting to get the picture. There's not a lot of space in our home right now.
Everybody in the house. Like if you can imagine, there's only 2 hours that we don't have a nurse in the house.
That's crazy.
And then when her parents are there, it's like there's literally at one point in time like 7 people in the house.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
And then I think I saw that we were outgrowing our home when I was pregnant with Roman, before I actually even really knew. Actually, no, I didn't know. I was like a few days into knowing I was pregnant. I caught COVID, and my parents were there. And Rome, I had to isolate, so I'm in our room. My parents are in the bonus room, or the guest room. Callie's in her room.
And Callie has a trach. He's vulnerable for COVID.
Where can Rome go? In the laundry room. This is going to come full circle. You'll see. So Rome's in the laundry room, like sleeping on the floor. Like we had this little blow up mattress slash like
it's a foam mattress.
Mattress that he was able to roll out. So he's next to the dirty drawers and bras and all the clothes and him. He sent me a picture and like I was like, okay, if you're gonna be a laundry room, at least you can start the load of laundry. He was like, no.
And low key, well, like the hardest part about it was the laundry room's not long at all. So like I'm actually too tall to like
your feet were out.
Spread out the laundry room. So I had to sleep like fetal and sideways. It was, and like sometimes like my feet were up against the dryer, just like up.
It was tough. So now fast forward, we're a full family and we're like, okay, it's time. But we talk about our finances and we really had a game plan for the year. And so we said at the end of 2024, beginning 2025, we'll be looking for a new home. Like let's really dial down and get the cash on hand. But then, your girl. I stay on Redfin, okay? I'm Redfin, and I saw a house that I really liked. And what made it perfect was a couple days before, Rome was complaining about the light in our home, and he said, I want our next house to have big windows. And so I see this house, and it has 2 stories of windows, a lot of natural light, like 18-foot ceiling for the living room, 7 rooms, but 5 bedrooms. Like the bonus room, the den, of a bedroom on the first floor, remodeled kitchen and bathrooms, like a lot of square footage. And we also decided like we wanted to live in our neighborhood. So it's only a mile from our current home. And we were just like, wait, can this work? So we're crunching the numbers and the numbers are looking good. We're calling our lender. And all of a sudden we're like, well, let's go look at it. So we share it with our realtor and we go look at it. And me and Rome were kind of like, all right, this might be it. This is nice.
Well, hold on, because you're skipping a part. Because like we went and you were all about it. And I was like,
Okay.
Because timing, because I was like, we just saw this house yesterday and now we're here seeing it. But also too, like I'm just looking around. I'm just like, okay, I don't love the trim, which again, like some of the stuff we would have had to do some work to it. But like the thing that we did always say is like bones. Does the house have the bones of what we need? Because then we can make whatever, we need it to if it has the bones. And so with that being said, we go see it. And I'm just like, okay, it's big, love the natural light. And the crazy part is it was like raining that day that we went to see it. And it was like getting dark. And so like we couldn't fully like actually see how amazing like and how much light came in. But it's just like, okay, cool. Like you can see yourself living there. But again, during the time of it, I was like, I don't know. Because remember, like when we left home, you're just like, I want this house. And I'm just like,
We just weren't sure. Yeah, like you said, the timing. But I also tell myself that if timing is the only thing holding you back, you got to move forward because timing is never going to be perfect. Like things don't always happen when you feel like you're ready for it, but you'll get ready for it. So I felt like that happened with the current home we're in. Like it was a little at the top of our budget, but we got in and we were able to make some changes to like our lives and how we move. And then we got new jobs and bonuses and promotions and it worked out. We're refinanced. So I felt like this is what will happen with this home as well. We just got to get in. So there were some circumstances where things were aligning, just some connections with the home and we felt like it was going to work in our favor. But the realtor had some other offers. So they had like a cash offer and something else. And though we kind of just we're like, okay, it's not for us. It's not going to work out because we had to sell our home. And so it's going to be a contingent offer. So we didn't even try. Then a week goes by and the realtor reaches back out and says, hey, these offers weren't strong. I'm willing to work with you. And so we were like, wait, what? I'm willing to give you 5 to 6 weeks to sell your home and I'll accept the offer if it's at the listing price. And so we felt like that was a sign and we were able to meet the neighbor. The neighbor had some strong connections with like medical needs and special needs children. And we just thought this is going to be perfect. This is our home. Like we started to get excited about it. So we put in our offer, it gets accepted. And when you put in a contingent offer, you have 2 days and then put your house on the market. 7 days. Mm-hmm. So a week to put your house on the market. And so we were on it. We flipped our house. Like when I tell you for the whole weekend, this is what me and Rom talk about wasting our time. This whole weekend, we are getting our house ready. Okay. Like you got 2 kids, a lot of junk, a lot of toys. We're clearing it out. Stuff. Yeah. We're clearing it out. It was Callie's birthday coming up and I was like, okay, Callie, what you gonna get for your birthday is a new house. I'm sorry, girl. So I didn't feel like I was able to give her the full party I wanted to give her. And we got the house ready. But one hardship that happened was our furnace goes out. Yes.
So not only does the furnace go out, but it's like the record low cold. Like it was like 15 degrees. Like or something like that, and then the furnace just literally blew out. And like the crazy part is for like a day it sustained like 60 degrees or something like that, and then it dropped to like low 50s.
Oh, it was cold.
So we were in there all space heaters in every room where the kids were at. I didn't need no space heater. I was a G.
Oh, the room likes
I turned that off.
Okay.
But, yeah, we had to deal with that. So like not only did we have to rush and get a new furnace, like that the new furnace got in 2 days. We had the inspector coming out to inspect our home, and then we had pictures. Mm-hmm. So we had the cleaners coming in, then we had pictures the next day. So it was a dead sprint from like that Thursday to the very next Thursday, and we got it. Like we literally, because we were about to start open houses, got everything in the garage and the closets boxed up, maxed out, because we were thinking like a lot of the stuff, we're not using, we don't need, so let's just put it in the boxes so it's easier for later. Mm-hmm. Because dope, you can just grab it and then move it into the new house.
Yep. And then we get the call. So when you have a contingent offer, they can accept other offers. And it gives you a 5-day notice. But depending on what day it is, the weekend doesn't count. So you can get about 7 days. So I'm driving home from work and Rome calls me and says, hey, she accepted another offer. So we have 5 days. And I thought, wait, what? I thought we had 5 to 6 weeks. That's what we were told. She's going back on her word. We actually now have 5 days. And so this whole time we thought we had till Tuesday. And then I think come Sunday night, we found out that those 2 days didn't count. So we had till a full week.
We had Thursday.
Until Thursday. And so I felt like at that point, I was trying to stay optimistic. I think you had already kind of felt.
I was already like this is exactly the sign to take one step back. So me and my cousin talk a lot about church services, sermons, all that stuff like that. Shout out to Mel. And she told me after I went to see it a second time, because once those other offers fell through, remember I went back the next day, or we both went back the next day. And we were like looking for, okay, what needs to be updated, what needs to be fixed. And then we got the inspection on that place. Well, during that time, my cousin's like, child, that sounds like your house. So when you get to that house, claim it as your house. So I did that. And this is now, I'm allowing myself to be excited. So fast forward,
We're sharing ideas for like the vision of remodeling.
Yes,
That's how excited we were.
And again, trying to figure out contractors, pricing, all that stuff like that. And so, fast forward, I'm just like, okay, this is a lot of stress, and my pessimistic mind in general, as soon as that happened, I'm like, we're not selling in 5 days. Like, come on now. Like but the hard part, and I think what irritated me the most is like, we hadn't even had an open house yet. The open houses was scheduled over the weekend. And so like, I know, Felicia was very much like, oh, it could happen. I'm just like, we're not, in my back of my head, I'm like, we're not selling this house, but I'm a play ball and hope that I'm shocked. I'm gonna hope that this is the one time in my life that something actually goes out of my favor, or like
in your favor,
in my favor.
Yeah, and I'm usually the optimistic one, and I was also kind of like, at that point, there's nothing else we could do. Like, the house was already on the market, and we had open house scheduled, so we already moved everything out into the garage. Like, we're just gonna move forward with it. We're gonna keep a positive mindset and have this open house. And I think what our realtor had said is that like the best option is like when you get the private showings. So we had went from wanting like a day notice for a private showing to like give us an hour notice and we'll get out the house. So there's just layers of inconvenience. Friday we have a private showing outside the open house. Same thing on Saturday, Sunday. So we're having multiple private showings. And I think you guys also realize where we're going to this story. We didn't sell. We didn't have enough time. We bumped the price, or we dropped the price down. Our realtor was calling, different realtors to see if they were interested. I'm reaching out to my network. We're trying hard because we just felt like we've put so much into this process. Like, if we leave empty-handed, this is really going to be unfortunate. There's so many things that we could have been doing that we just like really disrupted our lives, and that's what happened. So we just felt used. When our offer was the best offer, this individual was willing to work with us. And when something else better came, there was no ball being played with us. And I just felt like she did not take in consideration of how much disruption happened and how hard it was for us to flip our home, how hard it was for us to disrupt Callie's life. We're taking her equipment out every single time as a private showing. We're putting things away for open houses. We're trying to get out the house with a toddler who's 4 with medical needs and a baby. Like, it was just a lot of work for you to play games with our lives.
And it's deeper than what you guys will ever know, but the realtor really effed us. Like, on some, took another offer, tried to backtrack and like work with us, but then like, we had some momentum, that there was still an opportunity that we could, still sell or give us longer time. And we went from like her being confident we can sell to like, oh, I don't think they're gonna sell. Of course, not in 5 days,
right,
or 2 weeks, because like the average it's taking homes to sell, at least over here, our realtor said, was like 3 to 4 weeks. Usually like the month period is like
20 to 30 days or something like that.
So so that happened, and it was really just like unfortunate. And it really upset us, because that was like the reason why like life robs me of so much, because I hate getting excited for stuff, because when I get excited for things, that's what happens. And then it goes from excitement to disappointment and anger and resentment. And I don't like doing that. So I stay even keeled on purpose. Don't get too high, don't get too low.
Right.
But I allow myself to, trying to be different, to step outside of that, and trying to, just be in those emotions, be in those feelings, be in that excitement. But it felt very, very used. Again, it just brought up all the past traumas and insecurities like I have as a person that I said earlier today. But I know now that wasn't supposed to be our house, and that's fine. And we just need to grind a little harder so we can get the house that we're supposed to be in.
Yeah. It was, and I think for me, it was just an emotional roller coaster. And the opposite, we always talk about this, like when I've tried really hard, I've been able to get the things I want in life. And this was something that was so out of my control that was really hard for me to process of I couldn't have done anything different. Like my life was in someone else's hands. Like this, and this was a word bond, you know, like you promised us this, we agreed to this, and you went back on your word. And that was the struggle for me. And so, and I just kind of felt like if it wasn't this house, like the timing in us getting another house is just going to be a lot harder. And so I was so excited about the space and all the things. And so then to have to come back and to be in our space and start to realize how small it felt and how hard it was to have meetings and Roman being over here in the hallway and he sleeps in the laundry room. Granted, there's a window, a door, and a vent. But when my parents are there, we have to put the pack and play in the laundry room. So it just was really showing us all the things that we were excited about was all the negatives in the setting we're in now. And now they have to flip that and find a positive and be happy in the setting we're in. Because I was like, I'm ready to get out of here. You know, we got a month and then we're out of here. Now it's like, no, we've got months or a year. And so
mentally we were gone.
Yeah. And so they have to come back and look around and be like, this is where we live. And yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's not, I mean, good part is mortgage is great, interest rate is great, but still, like, we need the space. There's no room to build because our house was built on the awkward corner lot. And so, like, there's a driveway behind us and then the street is in front of us. So there's not really anywhere to expand. And so it's just a matter of, you know, we'll see what we can do. And, you know, God willing, we have a monster year and, you know, we're able to afford the down payment straight up so we don't have to rely on the equity of selling like we did in the contingent.
And that's the thing. I feel like now that we've kind of shared with you the joy, we've shared with you the struggle we had in the beginning of the year, and then I want to give you guys some tips on like what we've been able to do to kind of move forward from that. And I feel like we both had to process it in our own ways. And so I'm in therapy. I have therapy every other week. And I was talking to my therapist about just the feelings I had. And she was sharing, like, honor that. Like, it's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel like you've been just drugged through the mud. You know, like, those are your feelings. And people will disappoint you and upset you in many situations in your life. And it's like, how do you move forward from it? And I had to kind of step back and think about what do we learn from this process and what are we never going to do again? And so we took those points and now we know how we'll move forward, but also then like lean back into the kids. I know for us, like we had a vacation coming up. And so I had to shift my focus to something else. So I wouldn't think about what we just have been through for too much. And that's just me. I feel like if I overthink it, I'll start to analyze it and I'll just be on my mind 24/7. So I gave myself like that week to just process and be in my feelings. And then it was like, all right, we have to move on because there's other things in our lives that we have to be there for. And I need my mind for. How about you?
With me, it caused a spiral. And I think the spiral came with binge eating, came with more procrastination, came with more just like you almost get like trapped in the darkness in a way. And the ways to get out of that is, again, you have to change. Like I wasn't overly active, started being more active, more mobile, started walking on the treadmill, which, you know, that this will go into our next kind of topic on everything. But yeah, I just started more physical activity, changed up the diet again to make sure I was eating better. Also, making sure I actually read too, or listened to ebooks, but still, the self-development ebooks helped. Damaged and Destroyed by Mike Todd, pastor of Transformation Church. Just finished that one. And there was another one, I forget the name of it, but it was about like getting out of your head. And she was another pastor. And so they were both like very helpful. And so it was kind of like, you're right. A lot of this is self-inflicted. So I need to do my part to get out of it. And again, where that relates to relationships is doing your part to being self-aware for one,
Yeah.
acknowledgement, and doing your part to fix whatever needs to be fixed, whether it be yourself or the problem within your relationship. So putting in the effort for that. And again, it doesn't have to be major effort. The goal is not actually to make one major change. The goal is to make literally like 50 or a whole bunch of little small changes that builds the best or that builds the actual habit.
Atomic Habits talks about that.
That's what I'm reading now.
Yeah,
So,
that's great about, because I think sometimes even as we think about resolutions and big goals, it's like, I want to lose 50 pounds. No, actually change it to say, I want to be active 3 days a week for 10 minutes. Like bring the goal down a notch and make it more active goals in smaller scale, where if you start and do those smaller goals, it will then lead to the bigger goal that you have in mind. And I agree with you. I feel like we both were binge eating. Like we were like, we're just gonna eat out because we just didn't have any stuff in the house at that point, and so it just set us back in a lot of different goals we had, like budget wise. Because we're like, oh, we're eating out, and next, we got our vacation, and I'm like, okay, now I don't feel good in my skin because I was doing so well with being on my fitness track, but we had no space in our garage, which is where our gym is. It just one thing after another. And I think that's what led me deeper into like a depression or just a really bad place, was just like, I felt like that one thing had such a big domino effect on everything else in our lives that I was then now having to go fix because of that week stretch. And I thought that for me, it was like, oh, this is one moment that's over here displaced, but it wasn't. It was so connected to everything that we do.
yeah, it really was. And of course, like what you notice is there's a whole bunch of like little things that trigger small emotions, but those small emotions cause like over time big reactions. But like it literally felt like we got like punched in our face, punched in our face and kicked. And then it was just like, all right, now get up. Like they jumped us, then they walked away, and it's just like you roll over, try to find your glasses, and you're looking around. You're like, okay, I can't see, but I know I'm physically okay. And then you start kind of putting the pieces back together. But yeah, it just, I wouldn't recommend binge anything, even like binge watching TV. It's almost, I guess, the best lesson in all of this is to allow yourself to have a deadline. So like you said, like what me and my therapist talked about, like, okay, for the next 24 hours, for the next whatever. Like I think in that case, like I think I gave myself a weekend, but then it really ended up being like 2 months or something. But it's like, give yourself like, okay, I'm gonna let every single feeling came out, and I was crying and all that stuff. I'm gonna let all that crying, anger come out, within a weekend or within a week or whatever. And of course, give yourself grace. And then continue to do something small to move the other way. And so, again, I stopped. Like my whole mindset right now is to make dollar for dollar what we need for that down payment for the loan, and not even thinking about our house, because the one thing we wanted to do anyway is keep our house and rent it out. But right? we weren't going to be able to do that in that case, and so I think that's what I'm speaking into existence right now. So. And y'all, again, y'all are here. You hear it. So
keep us accountable.
If it comes to fruition, just know
we're gonna play this part.
That was with a lot of work and prayer and self work.
Oh yeah, and I just know, like, whatever is meant for us will happen. And down the road, the right house that has all the things we want and need, and the timing will be better. And we'll look back and be like, that wasn't a setback. That was actually a blessing. Like we needed that to get to where we are. And maybe we needed that to be a little bit more hungry and more focused on all of the things. I know this year in some of the more episodes in the future, we're going to dive more into finances and how we deal with finances, the areas that we struggle with, and how, we come together as a team to really build our finances. I think Rome was great with investing in stock. I'm a worker. I'm a work. And sometimes that's always the best because you can get more cash, but then what are you doing with that money? You need to be able to invest it. So together we're a great team, and we'll talk more about it. But I do just feel like it just made us hungry. And I think sometimes that's what we both need. Like, okay, Oh, you didn't want us to have your house? Bet we didn't want it, because guess what?
I'm gonna buy the one across the street.
Exactly. There's brand new
one that's
houses
just
being
been
built across the street. Hold on. There's brand new houses being built across the street, and they got our name on it. And so that's what we're gonna do.
That's what we're gonna do. We did. As a matter of fact, we did it. I'm from the future, remember? All right, y'all. Well, again, we back. That's just all you need to know. We're back.
Bring the energy. Like, yeah, we back.
You
I'm still thinking about that house.
Yeah, you gotta,
I'm telling y'all, sometimes just talking about it makes us get into a mood.
You can't. I'll save the energy for another day. But just know the Johnsons are back in the building, and just know that any of your relationship problems, feel free to come to us. And we can come together and help. We can come speak things into existence. Because like I said at the top, summer is on the way, even though spring ain't got here yet. But summer is on the way, and everybody knows that summer is like breakup season. So I want you, see, I had a method with my madness. That's why I want to spend this winter and spring helping you fix your relationships so you don't lose your man or you don't lose your girl for this summer.
Okay. Well, the reason why Rome is also thinking about the summer is because we just got back from a big trip where the sun was out for majority of it, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Traveling as a family, sometimes what you need as a relationship and as a family to reset. So we're going to dive into that next episode. But thanks for joining us. And like I said, we'll be back. We'll be back to weekly episodes. And if you haven't, if this is the first time you're listening to us and watching us, go back, run it back. I think we got 1 through 21 out already. Watch us on YouTube, go subscribe, and just build our community. And we just thank you for joining us. And like I said, we'll be back.
We're all here to help.
Bye, guys.
Easy.